Sammy, as we just heard Netanyahu say, just like that decision Trump made on Jerusalem, this is a departure from long-standing US policy on Israel, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. I don't think that Netanyahu overstated the importance of this decision taken by Trump. I mean, we have to look at the kind of language that the United States has been using when talking about the Golan Heights. It has been referring to the Golan Heights as occupied Syrian territory. I can tell you that in the United Nations Security Council resolution back from 1981, which was backed by the United States of America, the decision goes that the Israeli decision to impose its laws in the occupied Syrian Golan Heights is null and void and without international legal effect. And this is the Security Council resolution that the Americans supported. And now we're seeing a big shift in which the American president is adopting Netanyahu's policy and Israeli government's policy vis-a-vis the Golan Heights. This is a real game changer. It is, of course, welcomed by other Israeli parties. It has been welcomed by Benny Gantz and by Yair Lapid, the two other main players here in the Israeli elections. And this will have a long-term effect. We should expect other countries to follow the American decision. As we've seen with recognizing Jerusalem, we've seen some countries in Central and South America, such as Guatemala, Brazil, also adopting the American position. And I'm sure that there will be other countries that will follow this decision by Trump. Now, here in Israel, it's perceived as a big boost for Netanyahu ahead of the April 9th election. It's presented here as a gift that Trump is giving to Netanyahu. And no doubt this is yet another victory for Prime Minister Netanyahu.
There is some criticism, though, isn't there, that this move by Trump could be unnecessarily stirring up a hornet's nest. The Golan has been quiet for a while, despite Israeli operations inside Syria against Iran. What are people saying about that?
Well, I don't think that on the ground we're going to see much of a difference. After all, Syria today is engaged in a civil war, which is not over yet. There's still the area of Idlib, which is under control of various factions that are fighting each other. So the Syrian regime, Assad's regime, is not in full control of all the rest of Syria. The Golan Heights is not top priority currently for the regime in Damascus. We cannot see that suddenly Syria will shift its efforts towards the Golan Heights. So basically, we're not going to expect any kind of a flare-up. But I do think that this is going to have a kind of a long-term effect because the demand that the Golan Heights goes back to Syria is not a demand solely of the Ba'ath regime. It's not a demand only of one party, but also other parties in Syria believe that the Golan Heights, or the Quneitra district, as it's often referred to, is part and parcel of Syria. And this is something which unites all the political spectrum in Syria, whether we're talking about Islamists, nationalists, or the different groups in Syria. So I think that we're still going to have issues on this in the future.
Sammy, thanks very much indeed. Sammy Sokol.